Hey, right window. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Monday night here at Proficiency Bonus. My name is Matthew, your somewhat benevolent and apparently extra planar dungeon master currently. So we find ourselves in strange realms. Before we get too far into things, a couple of quick shout-outs. We want to say thanks to our friends and sponsors. One from Canada is Little Dragon Corp. You can put exclamation point Little Dragon into chat. Give you a link to their website. Don't forget to use the discount code PROBONUS at checkout. It'll get you 10% off your order, and also we'll let them know that we sent you. So definitely go check them out. They've got all sorts of dicey goodness and other strange materials like display things, all sorts of fun stuff. So definitely check them out. Let them know we sent you. And we also have Cardboard Castle Games down in Evans, Georgia. You can put exclamation point CCG. They're my buddy Michael's local game shop. They sell D&D stuff, magic cards, Pokemon. I'm assuming they do Yu-Gi-Oh! Lord knows what else. I gotta take a drive down there at some point myself once I get my vehicle fixed. But definitely check them out. You can check their website out if you're not local. Let them know we sent you. And both of them, make sure you're tuning in. It's a couple of weeks away at this point, but Probo's birthday week is coming up. We are going to have giveaways for each stream that is streaming that week. And both of our sponsors have given us some stuff. You want to know what? You're going to have to pop into each stream and find out what it is and see what you can win yourself. So with that being said, we're going to jump into last time, as our party is still stranded in this strange realm. They find themselves in a world called Kryn. Initially just trying to find a way to get home as they got trapped there as they wandered into some mist. Seemed to have stopped an entity from trying to cross into what they thought was their prime material plane. Maybe it was somewhere else. We're not sure. We just know they ended up in Kryn. They've made their way to the cities. Found out, surprisingly, a strange little angry dwarf that has now joined along with them, and found out that Mount Nevermind, that had been mentioned to Artemis as the place where their mother was being held, is in this same realm. They boarded a ship from the Lord City of Palanthas and made their way the numerous weeks' journey to the island. Ran into some rather oversized sharks that, strangely enough, in this world seem to be able to breathe both underwater and air. Defeated the majority of them, made one of them a temporary pet. But yeah, eventually the party won the battle. Everyone made their way back onto the ship, as some people were in the water for a little while. And that's where we pick up our journey, as the party is continuing along their way. Now, as I had mentioned to the party last time, I think it was right at the end of the stream, or it may have been after stream, the journey is really yours at this point. That there are no other encounters coming while you're on this boat. So if there's other things the party wants to discuss, we can go through that. Or if you just want to scene swipe and be offboarding on the island of Sankrist Isle, it is completely up to you.
I can't think
I don't
of
think I
anything.
have. Yeah, same.
Okay.
Same.
So, with that being said, just for our viewers at home, as you will see, we do currently have Lydia and Sigma sort of blanked out on the screen. Lydia will not be with us this evening. Sarah should be joining us in just a little while. So, Lydia will be on Roleplay Light, and Sarah will be as well, at least for a little while. So, with that being said, you guys eventually dock. It is 3 weeks and 6 days since you departed the Lord City of Palanthas. It's been just shy of a month. For the majority of you, even with Sarah's cooking, she's running dangerously low on cooking supplies. You've been, for those of you who are willing to eat what she cooks, I know Lydia had been trying some, and she's been trying to make amends with the party. Even with her new recipe books that she's found, with the lack of ingredients after this long at sea, things are getting a little bit more adventurous and a little less palatable. And a little closer to hardtack.
We can supplement with them.
Yeah, it's Fury can definitely take care of the group, and if she chooses to, any one of the sailors, or let them deal with their hardtack and whatever Sarah's cooking.
I did think of one thing that I think Murdoch would have done since we had a whole month.
Okay.
Because I remember Artemis wanting to learn some of the basics of Infernal. Some language lessons. So I think this is actually a really great opportunity for Murdoch to have spent some time doing that. She would have explained to you fairly early on that there's, like all things in Devil Society, the language is has a caste system attached to it, and it goes from very, very basic speech of like the lowest fiends to the very aristocratic of the lords of the Nine Hells, but that about like somewhere in the middle is where mortals stop losing the ability to kind of speak it. So
Dang.
So the Infernal that she would teach, I think, is like it's like rank 3 or 4 on their hierarchy. It's been a while. I researched this for you.
Oh,
But yeah, so she would get some teachings of Infernal. Explain how it's used in some of Murdoch's magic, specifically her smite spells that she gets from her tiefling lineage.
Okay, how long would you be spending each day trying to teach Artemis?
I feel like I remember reading somewhere that you really can't retain more information after like focusing on something for 2 hours. But also art is very, very smart, so maybe 2 hours in the day, 2 hours in the evening.
Oh, okay.
Before bed.
So, Art, do me a favor. Go ahead and make an intelligence check. And you do have advantage on this, as you're sort of getting worked through all this by someone who is very fluent in the language.
Okay, cool, because that's only 13.
Oh, okay. Now, forgive me, I know we're different areas of the world. What's high school up there? Is it 9 through 12? Is that considered high school, or?
Sorta,
Yeah.
kinda.
Okay.
10
to
10 to
12?
12,
Yeah.
9 to 12, depending on where you are.
Okay, so thinking in lines of like a high school language class, you've probably got about a first year's understanding. So you've got enough for, I won't say you're proficient in it necessarily. You can go to hell and say, give me a beer, where's the toilet, you know?
Beautiful. My name is Artemis.
You know, you've got some
Good.
basics down, so if somebody's speaking it, you'll pick up like an odd word here or there. Again, with how Murdoch has explained that they're going about teaching you, you'll catch things that are more like arcane based first, as well as those real sort of basics you need just for understanding. But yeah, it's another little bit of time. And Murdoch, you're a little surprised. It does seem that Art is a rather quick study with this.
More like Smartimus. Am I right?
Oh,
Well, you can probably have a very riveting conversation with the odd imp now.
I mean, I suppose that's good. I don't know if that'll. I guess if it does happen, that. Thank you.
And I mean, in terms of devil folk, they're not the worst. Pretty much by definition. So,
So
you've
I
done
could
well.
get perhaps a conversation in before they decide to eat me or something.
Oh, well, the fiends and fiendish creatures, as you know, they divide themselves amongst the demons of the abyss and the devils of the hells. One of which is a lot more agreeable and willing to talk most of the time. They just want to be the one in charge of the conversation. So, doesn't always have to be violence with them. I've had several what I would say are good conversations, surprisingly enough.
Really?
You know, they recognize my abilities with the finessing of a contract, and there's sort of a mutual respect, if not a little bit of professional animosity. But that doesn't mean that it needs to come to blows all the time. I mean, good lord, the one time you saw me in a courtroom was definitely not the norm. It normally is a lot less bloodshed, even in hell.
Oh, really? Wow. Well then. I know there's probably some lawyer jokes to be had in there, but good to know.
They they make them too. They keep saying that, you know, they've got a seat at the table for me, so to speak. It's a little concerning. I try not to let it get to me. But you've done
Okay.
really well. You've done really well.
Terrifying.
No, it's not
Thank you.
terrifying. It's just different. It's just different.
I do appreciate it though. Well, I want to understand more. So, thank you.
You will understand much, I think, in the coming months. Soon.
Oh, God.
How are you feeling, by the way? I know that you've been mostly sequestered to your cabin. We're getting close to your mother. I'm sure that that is weighing a little bit on your thoughts.
I mean, yes. I've been trying to keep busy with other things, but I'm worried about it being. What if I'm too late? That's what I'm scared about.
Well, she sent you that message, right?
She did, but it's been a while. I don't know. I just keep thinking the worst, and I know that doesn't help.
If your mother is anything like you, she is definitely still holding out. Because she knows you're coming.
Somehow. Against odds. Like me in the water. I had friends around me, though.
And you will have friends around you when we go to her. And she will have friends around you after. You need not ever be alone again.
I just want the same for her.
Then let's make sure that we get her back to your father.
Right.
All right. Well, I think we're going to be arriving soon-ish. So, gung-ho we go.
Do we know what side of the island that we're landing?
So,
docking on, going to?
Lydia would have been advised that you guys are going to be making your landing in the northern northern area of the island.
Oh, okay.
They
Are we gonna like pull into that little like cove here?
so yeah. Let me zoom in here. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes on the side. So it's at not that one. is it's a difficult entry to there. There is a small location. And let me just grab my hand here. There is a small city known as Xenos that is right in over in this. Oop, that just moved my mouse all over the place.
In that little cove.
It's like right in over here where they're bringing you into. And they're advising you that it's not like Palanthas. You're not going into one of the main areas here. They could bring you. There are other spots on the island that are higher populated, but given what Lydia had specified during setting up the voyage, that's where you're trying to get to, they're basically just sort of pulling in here, dropping the group of you in a longboat, sending the longboat to bring you the rest of the way into this small village, and then sending the longboat back out to the ship, and they're going to continue on their way. So instead of it taking another couple of weeks in terms of land travel from landing somewhere down on the south and then cutting through over to the castle and the island and going through that way, they're just basically cutting your travel in half.
Cool.
But eventually they get the group of you down. They basically split you in half, 3 in one longboat, 3 in the other, so, and a couple of crew members in each one, so they can actually row it to the shore to get you out and then row it back easily. See, about an hour at that point, and you guys are standing outside a very sort of, I guess I'll call it like a bare bones sort of, almost looks like a little fishing village almost. It's really not a whole heck of a lot to look at. You can see that there are houses seem to be simple wood construction. There's boats, a couple of docks. You can see they do some fishing. There's very minimal livestock. As the group of you are looking around, your best guess, even from just getting off the boats and seeing this as you're coming in, is there's probably no more than like 100, 200 people within this entire town. But you do see that there are a couple of there's one that slightly sturdier looking building made out of stone that you can see that there are 2 individuals wearing a very highly polished metal armor, a large shield, pike next to them, that seem to be just sort of standing again, very sort of almost laissez-faire, just like, you know, like that cop who's been sent on duty at the place that's, 30 miles out in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, no one's ever going to come here. It looks like a bike cop, just the unhappy, like, why am I here doing this?
What time of day do we arrive?
At this point, it is probably, with the rowing in, probably just after lunch.
Okay. Well then.
And you would
How
know
do we
from the individuals, as you're sort of getting there, you can see heading towards the east, there's these mountain range, and you can see sort of slightly more to the north, slightly northwest. You can see this sort of massive one towering up in the middle. And as you're looking at it, you can see multiple small little pillars of smoke.
All right, how are we going to approach this, everyone?
Well, I think first off, we need to find a place to stay for the night, and maybe a guide or direction how to get over there? And I point to the tall mountain.
Some information, more
Maybe-
information about it, or things like that.
Maybe one of these two could help us, and I kind of nod my head towards the guards.
It looks like it would be the most interesting thing to happen to them today.
I dig in my bag for papers in case they freak out at Murdoch.
I'll put my hood. I'll have put my hood up when I was rode in to kind of, I don't know, not be stabbed with fishing spears on the beach. But yeah. Sarah, do you have any ideas?
Time to work my magic. I start walking towards the guards.
She
Okay.
doesn't have any magic. This is going to be horrible.
Let us accompany
As
her.
long as it doesn't include stabbing somebody, it's. I mean,
All of
yeah,
you
and I'll follow
notice-
after.
All of you notice almost immediately as Sarah gets probably about 10, 15 feet in front of the group of you as she starts charging over, as you guys are starting to move to catch up. These two guards are sitting there, and again, they're talking to each other every once in a while, like half leaning on the spear. And then all of a sudden they see that Sarah walking over, and immediately both of them look around, like, start checking for their coin purse, looking back, and
Oh, right! I forgot.
and then as Sarah starts getting a little bit closer, they're hanging around. That's okay, ma'am. You can please stay over there. What can we do to help? How can we help?
Hello, gentlemen. How are you this fine evening, day, afternoon? I'm not sure.
Afternoon.
They sort of turn and look at each other a little. It seems to be a little taken back at you. What doing fine? What are you doing here?
Would you boys like some cookies? I made some fresh ones on the boat.
No, no, that's okay. But someone said what you're doing on the boat, and they turn and look and see the two longsboat. Okay, so yeah, you apparently just got left here. Yes, what are you doing in Xenos?
Well, you see, we're looking for a friend of mine. If you could just help us, help a guide of some sort for getting into the mountain passes and what have you, that would be just delightful. Are you sure you don't want a cookie? There's walnuts in them. Do you like walnuts?
Dude,
I'm going to rock up beside Sarah
What
around
about
this time.
almonds?
one of them still has a hand on the spear and is leaned it slightly toward, like, hasn't picked it up, but is like leaning it a little towards you, just looking at the other. And they're having a very quick, sort of hushed conversation between the two of them.
Raisins? People love the zing of raisins.
And then turn
Sarah,
back.
yeah, I'm gonna start hurrying too, as I'm the most normal-ish.
Dang it!
I mean, I'm not gonna interrupt you, but just as a damage protection.
And then,
No, I keep forgetting that we're the weird ones.
and then looking back at Sarah, and then seeing Artemis come running up. You can almost see the light bulb go off. Oh, you're not here for Xenos. You're going to Mount Nevermind.
Yes, I mean we would like to have like a place to stay, maybe like a little an inn or something, taverns with rooms. But eventually, yes, we are making our way
What's it-
there. Sorry about.
Looks down at you a little. Oh, you speak like we do.
That's the second or third time I've had that conversation. Did gnomes not usually speak this language
Uh,
here?
I look over and scratch their heads. Look down at you. Look at each other. Well, make sure that one's hands stay to themselves, and there's a small. It's more a bunkhouse. We don't get many people coming through here, but there's a bunkhouse. To gestures up, head up that sort of main dirt path and fourth building on the left.
Bunkhouse. Okay. That works, I suppose. Thank you.
A couple of gold will get you in for the night or two if you. And then if you're heading out of town.
Sorry, you said a couple of gold? You said?
Artemis, remember
It's not
the
like-
currency exchange.
No, actually, I'm actually quite fine with that. That's nice to have proper change for once.
Right, yes. So, fourth on the left, and then if you head north out of town, just basically head due north for about a couple of hours, and you'll come across a cut stone sort of road that will lead you all the way up to Whitestone Glade, and through the glade into the entrance of Mountain Nevermind. Can't miss it. Big mountain, bunch of little smoke columns coming out the top. Big bronze doors.
Big north path and doors. Okay. Thank you. Sirs, gentlemen, thank you. And I'll kind of like turn back to everybody else. There's a bunkhouse up ahead.
Wonderful.
Sounds good.
Yes, that'll do.
I pass a couple. I like take one of the guards' hands and put the cookies in it for later.
You're so suspicious.
He lets you, and then as the group of you start walking away, you can immediately hear him turn to the other one. Great, help me check. I can't find my coin purse. After a couple of seconds, I found it. I found it on the windowsill behind me.
It's always the windowsill.
Dude, don't
Yeah.
put it on the windowsill. That's your own fault now if someone takes it. Oh, I left my wallet on the windowsill.
Right
Oh
be-
no, my
Right beside the pie I had cooling.
So Xenos is not. It doesn't look like it's like a gnome settlement. It's specifically the mountain that is gnomish.
That definitely appears to be the case, yes. You are seeing, as you're walking around here, this seems to be almost completely human.
Interesting. Do we know if this aisle is like? Because I don't fully know how much we know about like nations. Like, is this aisle considered like sort of its own ecosystem, or are those soldiers like sent from a capital somewhere and it's like a territory?
So this is something that you would have been able to learn on the ship or during conversations in Palanthas. So basically the Isle of Sancrist, or sorry, Sancrist Isle, is considered part of... how do I phrase it best? Basically, the majority of the northern... is it the northern... My head's blanking on me here. So basically the northern section. So back where Palanthas was in Solamnia,
Mm-hmm.
Sancrist Isle is technically its own sort of... I guess I'll call it a neutral location. But the Castle Uthwistan, the family that is sort of the ruling body of Sancrist Isle, also happens to be one of the highest ranking people in the Knights of Solamnia.
Okay, so they're kind of
So it's-
allies.
Yeah, Sancrist is its own place and its own little world, so to speak, but it is very heavily tied with Solamnia. And
It's Long Island.
yeah, sort of.
Sorry, Sigma.
Yeah, that's actually a wonderful way to put it. Technically, it's part of Salamnia, but the minute you walk in there, it's like, oh no, this is nothing like this place. It's nothing like that.
All right. All right. Cool. Thank you.
So as you're making your way through, and it's, again, you have that very sort of, I'll use a phrase like country bumpkin 1940s, just backwoods town. You're seeing their people's front doors are just wide open. There's a pie cooling on somebody's windowsill. It's just that very sort of small town feel.
Beautiful. Wonderful.
And as you're walking through, you guys are just in passing. You are not seeing anyone that is not a human.
Oh. Ew.
Talk about being the odd ones out. There is not a single human among us.
And you definitely do get a couple of sort of sideways glances. But even as you're walking through, you can hear the rumors have already started spreading that this strange group was just dropped heading to the mount. So it's people are just sort of like, oh, okay, they're not here. Okay.
It's the beginning of a big joke. A kinder and a gnome, and a draconian and an elf, and a dwarf and a tall thing walk onto an island.
Whole thing.
I don't think
Good.
they know
They
even what to call Lydia.
That's realistically they would
Cow
probably
lady.
They keep calling her a cow.
they would probably most
unfortunate.
closely affiliate her with a minotaur,
Oh.
but she doesn't have the horns.
Oh.
But-
Interesting.
And so eventually you find yourselves at the bunkhouse. You can see, as you open the door, there is a rather, farmhand built young human boy. And just fairly athletic looking, standing behind the desk. Well, afternoon. We heard you would be stopping by. You were looking for a place to rest for the night. It's going to just be the one night. It'd be 1 gold apiece. So there's 6 of you. That would be 6 gold coins. We don't take lizard teeth here.
Lizard teeth. Interesting.
Not yes. After the war, people were trying to pay with dragon tooth or draconian tooth if you could get it, but that's a little harder from what the knights tell us, that they tend to explode or crumble or do weird things when they die. So yeah, 6 gold ain't bad, right? Just sort of hold his hand up, gesturing wildly at the group.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I'll flip him a coin.
I'll
I'll
give-
take one out of my pack.
I'll give 2.
Oh, okay. So that's 3 down, and he's looking for 3 more.
I'll hand one. I'll hand
Okay.
one as
Oh.
well.
I'll hand another.
I'll look up at Lydia.
Lydia will pay hers.
Yeah.
So eventually they just sort of points, and as you sort of finish stepping in and turn the corner, you can see the guard was right. It is a literal bunkhouse. It is just rows of beds.
Oh, this is quaint.
This reminds me of when I woke up in the temple.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Perhaps we'll make happier memories to associate with bunk beds. Like a slumber party. Were you ever invited to a slumber party?
No.
Oh, well, this is your first one.
Well,
First time ever.
strange circumstances for sure.
Rosalind, you've been rather quiet.
So, I'm alright. I'm just ready to get moving.
Question: how do you party if everybody's sleeping
Oh, right.
at a slumber
Yes,
party?
I never heard of this either.
Well, you
This
see,
slumber party.
what you do, and I'm gonna just say that like as we're walking, we're also talking, so I don't talk the ear off of the guy at the counter. Also, so we just get Murdoch away from people. So what you first do is you don't sleep at a slumber party. That's the best part. And then the second best part is you do each other's hair while talking about the handsome farm boy that happens to live right across the way, and the way his muscles glisten in the sunlight, and how you wish he took you to the
Is the
cotillion.
farmhand in? Right, and can he hear that?
And that's how I met Albert. Because Rosemary said, Sarah, go for it if you're
He is
so smitten.
I thought that he was.
bright red right now.
I thought he was working on your. I thought he worked on your land, your family's land. Did I remember that incorrectly?
It's extremely specific.
Anyway.
This happens at every single slumber party.
Well, sometimes you also sneak into the kitchen while your maid is asleep, and you possibly sample your father's absinthe while his back is turned and he's out of town.
Yes, me and my maid growing up, and my father growing up, and his absence.
I fell asleep on the top side of a ship with my dad and some of his buddies when they were all drunk, but I don't think that counts.
And then you do each other's hair, and sometimes you try on different outfits, and you
Put a hand on top of her head, and I give her a little pat.
We got the puke out of Richard's hair by throwing him in the sea. It does that. That's hair.
that
I
not
think
done.
they call that a sailie. You hold them by the ankles, and you just dunk them
Yeah,
off
dunk
the edge of
'em.
off the edge of the ship.
Bonus points if they
Well,
smash
I
against
think
the side.
Staying,
Way.
I think staying up all night tonight is not going to be the best idea.
Yes. Do we
We
want
got
to...
a job to do.
It does sound like fun, though.
Maybe when we get a ship back somewhere. Do we want to see if we can... You said maybe flag down a guide, or at least find more information about the mount?
What the guard said seems very easy. There's just a road there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Does seem a bit easier than the last mountain we had to climb.
Was it just me, or did they seem rather excited that we were not staying here? And yet they also say that they
We
don't get
are-
a lot of visitors.
We're, I mean, different. They don't
Yeah,
have
it
what
does-
Sarah is.
It does seem like it's only humans I've seen here so far. I don't know if you've all noticed that too.
They're like rabbits, honestly.
Oh,
They just pop up everywhere. So then are we
So
just
just
going
wanna-
to relax and leave in the morning? Do we have anything else that we want to do here?
I don't think I'm going to do much relaxing, but
I'll braid your hair, Artemis. That's relaxing.
I mean, I haven't put it back into a braid since we met with my grandparents, so you know what,
Well-
that actually might be nice.
Well,
It
there
feels
you go.
like ages ago.
You read your magic books and write down your whatsits and whosits, and I will get ready.
Yep, I'll get to those who's it.
Do you need more candles?
No, I have enough candles. I don't think I'll need them.
I lean over to Rosalind. They use candles. It's a wizard thing.
Oh, well, I'll take your word for it.
Sarah, how many of our healing potions are you still carrying?
That's a very good question.
I believe you passed one off to Rose.
Roslyn, yeah.
I don't believe she drank it, so
I did not. I still have it. Do we want it back, or did you just wanted to know where it was?
No, at this point I would like everybody to carry one on them just in case.
that's why I was
I-
bringing it up. I was hoping
Yes,
maybe
I,
I could
I still have it.
Okay.
for an emergency.
I have 4 in my bag.
Apparently my player didn't write down how many she bought.
I think there were 3
Okay.
at the store. That sounds
I'm pretty sure
Correct,
that's
'cause they
correct. Yeah.
because they
Okay.
were because of the war effort and stuff. There was still sort of like a
Okay.
those were harder to come by.
Manage your
or the
inventory,
need-
folks.
Not the war. The Mage's Tower had more kind of like a control over healing potions. Well, would either of you mind if I kept one on my person, just in case of an emergency?
Of course, I'm gonna hand one to Murdoch.
Okay, so that leaves one with Sarah, one with
Yes.
Murdoch, and one with Roswin. Roswin. So Roswin or Rosewin?
Roswin and
Roswin.
Rose is for short.
Rose is
Yeah.
a short version. Okay.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
keep saying Lynn. New character jitters. Okay. Cool. I added it.
Okay.
Okay. Murdoch's probably gonna just sort of stay in the bunkhouse out of public sight
Okay.
until, I guess, tomorrow morning. I'm just gonna kind of chill.
I would go over and ask the young man at the desk what the date is. As
Okay.
I have in mind to message the guy back at home just to compare, see what's going on with this timeline.
Oh, okay. So I come over and you ask me what's down. Thanks for coming. Oh, I guess it was today is the 27th of August.
Oh, all right. I've never heard of August, but sure. Do you know what year it is? It might make a difference from what I'm doing.
He would.
I know it's an odd question, but
Um,
I mean, even if he tells me and I can just say that I tell the person I'm messaging.
yeah, he gives you the year. Let me just take a look here. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's like he tells you it's 350 AC. But I'll double check that. I don't have that note in front of me. I didn't think of that. Oh wait, oh yeah, no, it's gonna be later than that, so it's probably closer to 360 AC. But yeah, it's a good, 1,100 years different than the year that you were
Right, but
than you were necessarily thinking.
I have no idea how time works here, so so that's what I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, so I'd go back to the party and dig out the sending stone to the person. I believe it was. I don't think I've written down. Seawolf? The mage and Seawolf that wanted to buy my ring. And I will message him and say, I'm in Kryn. The date here is the 27th of August, 360 AC. What date is it there?
Oh, okay. Go ahead and roll a d20 for me.
And hope it gets through to him. 6.
Oh, okay. So your message gets through. And then after a little bit of time, you get a response back from him. Grab my other calendar back out over here. And yeah, this is when I was keeping track of everything on, and I don't have the year marked down, so I'll get you the year after stream at some point. He comes out after a few moments and says, It is the 16th of Elaint, the Fading.
Is the year we left?
Yes, same year.
Okay.
So you would know that is okay.
We've been
And
here
forgive me,
for,
I'm
like,
going to use episode numbers because I can't. So when our stream episode 61, it was the 4th of the month prior. So
Okay.
between episode 61 and now has been over a month difference in time.
Okay, so that's pretty close because we just spent a month on this ship, and we also spent between walking to the temple and then walking to the city about another
Probably another week.
week. So we're lined up pretty well.
Oh, darn it, I should have asked him how different it was for him. Oh well, I can do that tomorrow. But yes, it seems to be running similar between us and them at the moment. Doesn't make sense in what we otherwise heard, but
Yes, well, that either means
maybe they
that
have time traveled here.
they've spoken about.
Do we have time
people-
travel back home?
They've
Not-
spoken about.
Not that I know of, but
Not that I know of either. They've spoken about some people here, or at least one, that seems to be able to act outside of time. That threw some big lights in my head. I keep thinking back to the Master of Past and Present.
That's what I'm thinking too. Could it be the same person?
Perhaps.
who is this master of? And
Kind of
past and
scary,
present?
honestly.
Oh dear. That is.
Long story. It
I
sounds
forgot
like.
your name.
Well, I mean,
Yes.
Sienna.
we've got about 7 or 8 hours until bedtime if you are in the mood for a long story.
Oh, it's the
Maybe-
story portion.
Sure. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I would tell Rose all about the house that we had. Maybe even the goat people, about how we needed to do things in different cities and kept trying to get to Baldur's Gate, and now are here. Just sort of the fast run through it all. And this mysterious person that gave us this house, and we have a stairway to different worlds, or at least planes, in this house.
Murdoch would add in that we were getting ideas about this world before we're even actually encountering it. I think Murdoch would specifically point out the room with all of the constellations, the stars, and the three, the red, the white, the black, and how it ends up matching up with this sky. So
Yeah, and
if
hold up the sending stone. The person I just messaged, I'm pretty sure they're from here, because we met them a really long time ago before we even knew this place existed, and it kind of makes sense now.
So it
Weird.
almost seems like this master wanted you all to come here at some point.
perhaps
Seems so.
That would also mean, possibly that we have a way to get back here afterwards, because we did see that one of the doors in the stairwell had the same symbol. I don't know where it would
okay.
lead out, but that also means if it leads one way, I don't know if those doorways are a back and forth sort of scenario, but that means that we have a couple ideas of how we could eventually get home once our business is done here. One being my employer, if he, actually arrives and locates me in a timely manner, which is a miracle unto itself, or seeing if we can find possibly a back way into our own home.
Maybe we have to find the door and speak specific words.
I mean, if we see any stone doors with Celestial written on it,
Yeah, look for that word. That door.
I mean, it's a good thought. If how that's how it works on that end, maybe it's the same on this end.
so there's a lot of evidence pointing to the fact that possibly the Master of Past and Present is originally from here. It may be that powerful mage that we had heard about, but not enough
Do
to
you-
say the word.
You trust this person? Do you speak to them often, or
Oh, not at all.
at all? Okay.
We met them once, and then they gave us instructions on a really nice house.
Yeah, it's kind
Some
of like
helpful
a weird
information.
landlord.
Mm.
Oh, there also was that one time that Sarah almost killed some of us in the house, but
That is true.
I
That did
said
happen.
I was sorry.
Well, I'll have to hear the details of that someday.
No, we don't.
No?
Artemis, you're still holding that orb that was from that room, correct?
yes. Wow. I have a lot of orbs.
You do.
And
You never told us about that other orb you got. You said you would, and then we never got back around to it.
could we hear about that?
Back in the temple when we first got here,
I heard about it secondhand.
you ran
from
off to do
Lydia.
something.
I was too busy being unalived.
She was like a cool orb and was like talking to me, and I picked it up, and now I just have a cool orb. Another one.
What did
Is
it
it
say?
different?
But do? Is it just like
There's like
an
some
orb?
nice colors in it, and I know some new spells because of it. Seems to be good, though.
You said it spoke to you.
Yeah,
What did it say?
it wanted me to help it, and I mean it was trapped under a whole bunch of rubble, so that makes sense.
Some manner of sentient orb or something inside the orb? Curiouser and curiouser.
Maybe
It's not trying to make you do things, right? I've heard some magic items make you do things that you don't want to do. It's just conversational.
Mike,
you're muted.
I know what
Hello.
that was.
Okay.
Hey, DM.
Yes.
It hasn't explicitly made me do anything.
No, it is not.
Yeah, no, not really. We good.
Right. Well, no. You just keep us informed about it, I suppose.
Okay. Do you want to see the star orb chart thing?
Um, I suppose we could see if it does anything different now that we're here. Snow Moon's gem is still with his things.
So we could still use it.
Yeah, I don't know if it'd look very good in here, but
Maybe tonight, if there's
Yeah.
not too many people using the bunkhouse.
Okay.
Alright. Well, I don't know what all of you are going to do. I'm probably going to stay inside so that I don't scare the children or what have you. If anyone needs me, I suppose I'll just be. And she like looks around at some of the bunks and like sits on one and goes, "I'll be right here until bedtime, at least."
Okay, Lydia will plop down on one beside you, basically taking the same approach. The rest of you be trying to do anything in the area, or
Is this like a
probably just go
sea-
out and yeah, I'd take a walk outside, not really doing anything, just walking around.
okay. Sarah, what were you asking?
I was asking, is this like a seaside town? Like, are we on
You're
on the beach?
pretty
basically?
much. Think of it like if you've ever seen the flybys on like vacation videos where you can see the beach and they're like hotels
Yeah.
just
Okay.
off the beach. Same idea. The houses are probably about 50 to 75 feet away from where the sand and the beach actually starts. But
So
it's
it's like a shanty town.
basically, yeah. If you have a very rundown, this is the very start of an early community, it feels like. Houses are very simple. They're like small. They're growing their own food. There's small animal pens, but nothing's made. It seems like everything's made just enough for this small group to get by.
I'm gonna trail after Furia, but I mostly want to go and look for seashells on the beach.
Oh, okay.
Sarah sells she sells by the seashore.
You want to try that again? You want to
No.
try?
No, I don't.
No. Oh.
Yeah.
Since you
Oh.
Sarah, go ahead and make an investigation check.
Oh, I'm good at those. Not right now, though. Apparently. Investigation. Not too bad. Thank you for my bonus. Can't do simple math. There we go. 11.
Oh, okay. And what's your passive perception?
Passive. $12.
Oh, okay. So as you're walking around and you're spending your time looking for seashells, thanks everyone. You do manage to find 4. But you do notice that one of those 2 knights is just ever so slowly just following behind about 50, 60 feet. You stop to pick something up, he stops. You keep moving, he keeps moving. It's like he's just keeping an eye on you.
Every move you make, every breath you take.
I'll be watching you.
Ugh.
So, Fury, anywhere in specific you were heading?
I would, if there's like a market area, I'd probably wander through there.
There
But
isn't
not really
a
any
market
particular
area. You
direction.
do find one place that you think would pass for what they would consider a general store here. Very bare bones. They have some torches, some rope, couple of farming implements. They don't even have any weapons or anything there. It's just very minimal. It's like just what these people need for this area.
I just wander around, get some extra fresh air before being cooped up indoors with everybody else.
Okay. And then, Rose, anything for you?
No, she would have just headed to bed.
Oh, okay.
So,
So for those of you as you're going about your business, again, most of the remainder of the afternoon, everyone has their evening meal. Fury, at one point as you're walking around, you are approached by a very small girl. Comes up and as you're walking around, and you notice her going just with your passive. She's not trying to sneak or anything. Comes up sort of behind you, gives a little tug on the back of your outfit. Excuse me, are you with the strange people?
I stop and I turn around. Yes, I am.
They said you're going to the gnome place, the mount. Why are you going
That's right.
there?
Well, we're going to be visiting somebody there.
Oh. Yeah, Mommy and Daddy don't let me go there. It's too busy, too big. There's some knights there.
Well, it is
though.
a mountain.
The knights are protecting it.
Is the danger inside? They're keeping something in?
They said you have a gnome with you. You know what gnomes are like. They tinker and they play with things. When the knights find things they don't understand, they send it to the gnomes. But they don't just send it. They send knights there to watch it too. It's
Well, I have never been there. I just heard stories. And I didn't know if they were true, so thank you.
Oh yeah, and make it. But one of my friends, Todd said his older brother was there once, and they have the most magical way of getting to the different floors in the mountain. They said it's great.
Really?
Yeah, he said it was so much fun that but Mommy and Daddy won't let me go, so I haven't tried it yet. They said I
How
have to
did
be
they
at
get
least
from
8.
floor to floor?
Todd just said it was magical and I'd have to try it someday.
Wow. Well, if I go and I do it, and I make it back here, I'll be sure to tell you.
Oh, please, thank you. She starts sort of grabbing hold of your arm and jumping up and down a little bit. And she looks around after doing that, looks around and goes, okay, bye now. And takes off scurrying.
I'll continue just going around and make my way back to the bunkhouse eventually.
And eventually, as the dinner, you guys all have your evening meals. Prepare to get ready for the evening. Is there anything anyone would be doing before turning in for the night?
I'm going to pass a couple of the shells to Murdoch.
Okay.
Since you didn't get to go out. And then I'm gonna sit on the bunk with Artemis and start braiding their hair. Artemis, why are there so many sticks and leaves in here?
I mean, we went to a different world and I didn't really notice. There might be some shells too, but those are probably the island. Keep those in there.
As long as there's no droppings like raccoon feces.
I don't usually roll around in raccoon dens, so I think I'm good.
Okay. And I'm gonna like do that thing where you try to comb your fingers through somebody, say, sorry. Well, if you would just brush it once in a
don't-
while.
Have a brush.
Okay, so we're buying you a brush before we get to see your mother. Maybe after. I think she'll be fine. I'll do my best.
I could help, and I showed that I have 2 braids like down to my waist.
Yes, we would need an expert right now.
Very well. Let me show you how.
Okay.
Yeah, just proceed to do a few and show Sarah.
Seems to be going between the two of you. The braiding of Artemis's hair seems to be going quite well. Murdoch and Fury, anything you would be doing this evening?
I would tell everybody that I met this little girl, and she said that gnomes are tinkerers and they make stuff. Apparently, knights come and give them stuff they don't understand, and then make sure the stuff they give them is watched over. And then apparently, there's also a magical way to get from floor to floor in there. But her parents won't let her go, so she doesn't know. So, I mean, tinkerers, apparently they talk a lot.
Doesn't sound inherently evil.
Oh, it almost seemed like they were afraid. Why would you be afraid of a tinkerer?
People are afraid
I
of
guess
things
we'll go
they-
and find out.
People are afraid of things they don't understand.
I guess that's true.
I'm curious why. What is happening that would cause Artemis's mother to be trapped or unable to leave, at least?
Well, I could see it would be the easiest place for them to blend in here in this world.
Hmm.
But yes, you're right. Why would they not be able to leave other than the fact that it's a different world?
Suppose we'll find out as we get closer.
I suppose. I'm just worried. That's all.
Murdoch will, before bed, she'll with like maybe her dagger or something, work a little hole into these shells and make a little bracelet.
Aw.
Okay. And are you guys planning on setting a watch this evening, or are you just all crashing out?
This might be the first time we're able to just sleep.
I would be up probably middle of the night, sleep 2 hours, be up in the middle, and then, or however it works out. Math.
You know, elves and their...
Yeah.
I think I would attempt to sleep, but I don't think I will get the best sleep. Probably
Okay.
lots of micro naps.
Do me a favor, go ahead and make a constitution check for me. Constitution check for me, Art.
Freddy Krueger has entered your dreams.
18, surprising.
Okay, so you do manage to, even with as you're sort of tossing and turning and waking up at various points, you do still get the benefits of a long rest. So it doesn't affect your. Again, you're right, it's not your best sleep, but mechanically you're still quote unquote rested. Mentally,
Yeah.
probably not as much. But as you're sort of tossing and turning, though, and this knowing how much closer you are to finding out what's happening or what has happened to your mother, you start hearing a small voice in the back of your head. As you, at one point, you've woken up and just that slight panic as you sit up and sit for a minute, trying to clear your head so you can get back to sleep. You just hear, "They're not going to leave you alone. You're going to have to take the test. But you can count on me. I will aid you, as others have aided me in the past. All you need do is ask at the test." And then the voice fades from your mind.
Do I recognize that voice? I think I know where it's coming from, but
It actually is not.
dang it!
It is not coming from the orb.
Crap!
Ugh.
Ugh. So I don't recognize it?
You do not recognize the voice specifically, no?
I hate that. Okay. Hmm. I guess I'd just wait a few moments, and if I don't hear anything else, I will try to get back to sleep.
It seems to be gone. Probably takes you an extra 5 or 10 minutes to fall back asleep.
Uh-huh.
You don't hear anything else. And eventually the morning comes, the rest of you wait, and everyone wakes. You can see there are a couple of individuals who had come in to sleep in the bunkhouse that are sort of waking up at the same time. You can see there's a table at the very front end, right near that front window, where there seem to be some breads and a little bit of fruit. They seem to put out. Lydia grumbles a little bit because there's not a whole lot of food out there, and all of you can tell with just your passive social knowledge that it's intended for everybody in the bunkhouse.
I hand her a good berry.
She nods and appreciates it.
Much of good berry on a little bit of bread.
More for the feeling full feeling than the taste. Although they probably don't taste bad.
There, could I actually have a good berry too? I don't exactly want to fill up on questionable things.
Sure. Anybody else?
Sure, I'll take one if everyone else is.
Hold out a handful of, well, there's 8 left.
I'll just grab one. Thank you.
You only need one. I take one myself and grab some fruit from the table.
Is it
I
straight
can.
up the mountain then?
I think so, right? We have our directions, and
I'll put on my armor and do all that.
Okay.
I'm ready to go.
Lydia will do the same. Get her stuff all ready, and then the group of you head out. Who's taking point on your travel?
I probably would if nobody else seems eager to.
Oh, okay.
I'll
Go ahead.
follow behind.
Go ahead and make a survival check for me to see how well you can follow the directions to get you to that path. Again, not overly difficult, but
16.
okay, yeah. So you have no problem whatsoever following this path, and all of you again. Actually, let me just check here. Yeah, that's another 2. So, and all of you now notice this as you come out of the bunk and start heading up that direction. One of the knights is again following about 60 feet behind, seems to be keeping a steady eye on Sarah.
Does he do the thing like if I turn my head, he like ducks behind stuff, or does he?
Nope. Stares right at you.
I
Ooh.
wave.
He waves back.
I point at my bag, pull a cookie out.
Dang.
He looks back and just sort of goes.
Do we want to try and do something to get rid of these two, or just let them be?
Oh no, they're mostly harmless. Do you want a cookie?
A cookie? Yes, sure.
Raisin?
Sure. I'll take that.
No one can resist the zing of raisins.
That is pretty good.
You keep
It's a little
using that
stale,
word.
but-
You keep using that word, and I don't know. I don't know. I like my raisins to have zing.
I will work a Simpsons quote into every session.
Eventually, you guys get start heading outside of the sort of town limit, and again, you all notice that the guard just sort of trails off and stops as he hits the border, like the end of the town. So it seems like all of you would get the again, from what little you've learned of the area, it seems like these Kender are viewed as thieves and nuisances, but they don't really do anything to them unless they actually cause a problem. But at the same point, they're going to watch them because it appears that 10 times out of 10 they cause a problem. But yeah, you guys make your way out, and eventually finding the beginning of that sort of like cobblestone-esque road that starts leading through towards Whitestone Glade and the mountain. Anything you would be doing during your travels?
Just sort of keeping my head on a swivel, make sure nothing unexpected pops out, as far as I can tell, and keep checking on.
Okay, go ahead and make a perception check for me.
22.
Okay. So we've got Furious keeping her head on swivel. What else would anyone else be doing?
I think Murdoch, if Furia's watching like for outside things, Murdoch is going to watch the group, like make sure that Artemis is fine, make sure that Sarah is fine. Rose seems to definitely be able to handle herself. Just in case like getting closer to the mountain affects Art in any way.
Okay, go ahead and make an insight check.
Low today, 6.
I'm sorry, did you say 6?
Or 6.
Okay,
I rolled low today.
I didn't think Murdoch could get that low. Art, what is Murdoch seeing, or rather, I'll phrase not seeing is Art sort of giving anything off? Again, keep in mind it doesn't seem like Murdoch's really picking up much, but
Ah,
I don't know how transparent Art is being right now.
I don't go hiking. I get my steps in, but I don't go hiking.
they're nervous per usual, but they're keeping it. Most of the time, it seems that their gaze is just like directed towards like the mountain and like the little like plumes of smoke that are coming out from it. Not so much on the road that they're walking on.
As from our best you can tell, it seems to be focused.
On the road ahead.
On the road ahead. Okay.
Then Rose and Sarah, anything you two would be doing during the travel?
She would have just been looking out for, like, any side threats, too, so Furia's handling that. She's just kind of, not much in particular, just...
Well, go ahead and make a perception check anyway, see if...
15.
Oh, okay. And Sarah, anything, or...
I'm gonna like glance at Roswind for a moment and go, so mountains remind you of home?
Yes, very much. I'm very, very comfortable in the mountains.
Yes. You were talking about where you were from when we first met you. Tell me about
was.
it.
I mean, it's the mountain. We mine for gems and metals, and I mean, it's home, but it is just a mountain.
Yes, you could say you were fated to be touched in such a way to live in a mountain so full of resources.
Huh?
I'm gonna insight check. Rosalind.
You're gonna insight check. Yeah.
I want to see if she's just playing dumb. Wow, my dice hate me tonight. Is what I'm learning. Oh well, thank you. +8. 17. You're muted, DM.
Thank you. Sorry about that, folks. Looking at Roswin and really sort of staring down. You're not getting anything sort of deceitful about this. Rose, how would you be looking at Sarah, given that you really have literally no clue what the hell she's talking about?
It's kind of that, like, where you, like, turn your head to the side and your jaw drops a little bit, like...
Yeah, so she's giving you a very strange look, and you're pretty sure she's being honest that... She's thinking maybe Granny needs to go in a home.
Cookie?
Sure, I'll take another one.
Oh, okay. This is the walnut one.
Ooh,
Yes,
scarf that down too.
yeah, they're very high in omega 3s, and you can rub them against hardwood in order to get
You get the
dents
same
out.
look again, like...
You know what? Just enjoy the cookie.
That I can do.
As you're continuing on through your day's travel, for Rose and Furia, you're not really noticing anything. I mean, you're hearing some wildlife out there, various little things here and there, but nothing really jumping out at you. Eventually, Furia, you do notice a little bit of a sort of a path leading off more to what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, I lost my words. more away from the mountain a little bit. And there is a small sign posted that says Whitestone Glade. But beyond that, nothing else really of note as you guys are traveling through.
Yeah, I'll take note of it. They said we didn't have to go through there, right? Pretty sure it was this way.
Yes,
Yeah,
I think that was right.
You know,
Yeah.
as we passed the sign, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, you know that it was mentioned that it was sort of in that general vicinity, but that you should follow the main road in.
The main path, yeah.
Yeah, so as you're traveling on the rest of the day, you still haven't made it to the foot of the mountain as of yet. Your best guess for you, Furia, with your you're just used to traveling and whatnot. You think if you were to push through all night, you'd probably get there by shortly after first light. If you take camp somewhere and then take off first thing in the morning, you'll probably get there shortly after midday. It's up to the party what you want to do.
Well, if we don't want to walk all night, we're going to have to make camp sooner or later.
I think that's a good idea instead of walking all night.
Yeah. No,
Tent.
I agree with.
Okay.
Never camped on a mountain. It's fun.
I'm still not used to sleeping outdoors like this.
Having a boundless sky instead of a always present roof, so to speak.
Yes, lots of wide open space.
I met a dwarf once who had come from the mountains and said that he was afraid that he would fall up into the sky. He did not understand how we all stayed on the ground.
Yeah, I'll look for a suitable place to set up camp.
Yeah, it's easy enough to find. There's not a whole lot of cover as you're sort of in this trail leading towards the mountains, but
Are there like large, like stone? Like, are we up enough on the mountain that there's large stones and stuff around?
you're not really up into the mountain. So you're heading, think of it sort of, you're more in like a valley in between. You're starting to get smaller hills and mountains on the sides of you, but you're heading basically right in towards the largest peak within. So you're
Okay.
probably up a little bit, but you're not really like mountain climbing, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, you can probably
So-
find a couple of decent sized stones. It may take you a few minutes to look, but what you're looking for, what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Well, you said there isn't a lot of cover. I have the this lovely stone guardian ring. I thought maybe I could make us some out of some boulders, sort of warp them into some sort of nice overhangs that we can camp under.
Well, there aren't a whole lot of boulders, but basically the ground on either side within about 50 to 100 feet of this path is solid stone. So you
It's solid stone.
Yeah, so you could definitely do that. And crikey, I
Sure.
forgot to set that up in D&D Beyond for you. I apologize.
That's
I'll
all
do
right.
that tomorrow.
But yeah, Murdoch would do like a little Full Metal Alchemist clap to activate the ring and put her hands down on the ground, and then she just picks up the earth with the ring glowing, and I can make us some extra shelter. I can do it 2 times a day, so I think stone shape affects a 5-foot cube's worth of stone. So I can make it 10. So I'd make us like a nice little kind of hovel, and then also set up a tent.
Yeah, definitely. And as you're doing it, and Lydia come over and sort of take her thing and sort of pitch it out a little ways to sort of almost make a little larger area for people. Yeah, definitely, and definitely
There we
doable.
go. That's what I call glamping.
That is impressive. Nice. It's nice.
It's a
Okay, so
useful ring every now and then. I was wondering how that was going to go. Good. It's less talky than my normal kind of magic, but I like it. A little bit more hands-on.
Surprised it worked so well. Honestly, I was a little bit worried about it, but it looks sturdy enough. I go up and kind of like touch the stone.
Yeah, she probably basically did, she like picked up the earth and curved it, so it's sort of like a cresting wave that a surfer would ride on. And then Lydia sort of like smoothed out the edges and kind of panned it down. So it's sort of like just a big old little like half dome with a roof.
yeah, and artist, you watched Murdoch sort of pick this up, and it literally looked like it just pulling up a blanket. But you walk over and touch it, and it is rock solid, solid stone.
Ooh.
Yeah, and
I
are
like
any of you
those
planning on
roofies
taking
too.
watches tonight? Lydia will volunteer to take either first or last, as she doesn't have dark vision.
I'll take third.
Could take one in the middle since I can see in the dark just fine.
Okay, Saphira's got third, so that'll give Rose second.
I'll take last.
Okay,
I'll
so Hurt will
probably
take
be
last, so that gives Lydia first then. Okay, so do me a favor, go ahead and roll your perception checks for me. Roll one for. Actually, you know what? Let's.
I'll give Lydia. I know she probably doesn't need it, but since I can only give it to the person doing first, I'll give Lydia Bardic Inspiration for
Okay,
her
so
looking out.
That's a D8. Oh, did I just send that to roll 20?
I think I
Yes, I
heard the
Yep.
D20 thing.
Wow. Okay. That's.
Ooh. Well, she can add a D8 to it if she'd like.
Hey, oh, why not?
I rolled a 6.
Okay, so that's a 6.
You're trying not to fall up into the sky.
Why did you
Gotta
put that
really-
idea in my head?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I realized that was probably counterproductive to your adjustment.
I mean, you have the scoop. Just hide
Yeah,
it
you
with
got
the
that.
scoop.
Yeah, I
Before.
made you the scoop.
Okay,
Use
Art,
the
what'd you
dwarf
roll?
scoop. I got a 24.
Oh, wow. Okay, and Furia.
Wow.
Also a 24.
Wow.
Okay.
Leave me in the dust.
Oh.
So as our party is setting up and taking their rest for the evening, we're going to go ahead and take our break here for the night, as it is already a little more than halfway through. So we'll be back in just a few moments. Going to take care of facilities, top off our drinks and whatnot. So don't go anywhere, as in just a very short while. Well, at least for us. Artemis and the party will be arriving at Mountain Nevermind. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be back real soon. And so our story continues as our party goes through their evening. Lydia seems to be, for the majority of our party, it seems to be everyone's a little bit on edge, being a little extra cautious and extra watchful as we approach closer to the current residence, as the party was told, of Artemis's mother. Rose, on the other hand, Murdoch, in that weird statement about falling into the sky, seems to have Rose a little preoccupied. As Rose, spends most of the watch hunkered down underneath the beautiful stone awning that Murdoch has created. Nice, safe, and secure in the mountain's embrace. But eventually, dawn crests over. Well, dawn breaks and you can see the light coming over the skies. You're not really in direct sunlight given the mountains on either side of you right now. But eventually, the light comes, morning arrives as everyone sort of packs up and continues on your trails after your morning meal. As you start getting closer, over the next few hours, you can see this path, and it seems to be fairly well traveled. This again, I keep calling it a cobblestone road, this sort of like cut stone path that's been put together here. As you start getting closer, you all can start to see way off in the distance the sort of base of this mountain starts to appear in front of you. And you can see as the mountain is sloping down towards you. Off just slightly to the south of you, from where you're facing it, you can see there are these sort of 4 layers of terraced mountainside that seems to have various plants growing on it. It looks to be some sort of like small farm, almost like a farm type situation, running up probably a good 200 feet up the side of this mountain. Just massive stretches going off down to the south, and with different plants. From this distance, you really can't make out what anything is. You can also see in the base of this mountain, right where it meets the ground, is a massive, smooth, stone-cut, just flat face. Dead center of it, 2 massive, shining bronze doors.
Well, that is the entrance. I know that's pretty obvious, but I'm just freaking out, so I'm just gonna say you guys ready, I suppose?
I'm ready if you are.
I'm all set. It seems what we've been hearing is that they're most likely going to be speaking entirely in Gnomish. Or we hope it's Gnomish. So you might need to be taking the lead a bit.
Well, I also, from that one comment, they might be rambly. So maybe keep that in mind.
I mean, I feel like I can be like that sometimes, so I think we're good on that. Alright.
Is
there...
go ahead.
Sorry. Is there, like, an obvious way to, like... Are there people at the door?
At this distance, it's still hard to see.
Okay.
You're probably still a good few hundred feet away. It's just this, as you're coming up to this, it is blatantly obvious as you're looking around the rest of the land. It's this beautiful, polished, just flat stone surface with bronze doors, and the sort of terraced section on the side of it calls out the attention to it. If you want, go ahead and make a perception check. See if you can see anything, make out any of the finer details at this distance.
9.
Hard to see from this far away.
Yeah.
So, as the group of you are continuing forward, is what items are you sort of wearing, or what would you have out on your person as you're traveling? Like, would Sarah be running around with her crossbow out? Would, you know what I mean? Things like that.
The crossbow is probably like strapped to her back. Armor, if possible, would probably be like under her like dress. If that's not possible, then over. All other stuff.
Yeah,
would be
you
in
would
the
probably
bag.
see a unstrung longbow on my back. Probably the 2 swords at my sides. I'm wearing it's armor. It's decorative too, so that'd be visible. But I mean, I wouldn't be holding any objects in my hands or anything like that.
And you could see I have a shield on my back as well as my battle axe and 2 hand axes, one at each hip. I don't wear armor, so I just have like traveling clothes on. Nothing in my hands at the moment.
Okay, Murdoch.
Murdoch has her glamored armor, and wears the cloak that she was given over it, and normally has the hood up when she's been traveling in Kryn. She has her cane, and most of my other items are in my bag of holding, which I always imagined was just sort of the classic side satchel.
Yeah.
But I have been starting to carry my violin, not strapped completely on my back, but sort of like if I have the bag of holding on one side, it's sort of like it's got a strap over like one shoulder, and then it's just hanging more at my side behind my arm.
Oh, and I'd be starting to dig out those papers again just in case.
Oh, okay.
We need them for Murdoch, specifically.
And Art, anything specific on you that might be in your hand as you're approaching?
In my hand? No.
Well, just like anything jumping out. Like, would you have, your spell book clutched in your arm? Anything that Art typically carries when traveling?
Just my, like, little satchel.
Okay. Perfect. So as the group of you start to approach closer, you see, as you get about 100 feet away, you actually do see that there are a couple of people standing in front of this. You see 2 more of those armored individuals from the Knights standing on one side of on the south side of the door. And on the north side, you can see what looks to be a small gnome. Just sitting there is currently flipping through what looks to be a massively thick book. They don't seem to be directly interacting with each other, though.
Okay. I'll kind of approach. I guess whoever looks more like they're in charge of the doors, probably the gnome.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me. Can I go in here? Please?
As you start talking, the person sort of closes the book, looks up, and then you watch as the eyes go a little bit wide at first, and then they're done looking at you, and then start looking towards the group that's behind you. And all of you, with your passive perception, notice the couple of knights look over at the group of you, and one of them just, sort of a little bit of a titter. And then, as the gnome looks over at the guard and just gives a little bit of a nod, and you see the two of them starting to do something. The gnome looks over at you. Oh, well, good afternoon. How's everybody doing today? Oh, no, well, there's 6 of you here. Okay, this is one fellow. Oh, and immediately comes walking over to Murdoch and pulls the cane out of your hand, Murdoch. Oh, this looks like a strange walking implement. And if you put the point down here, and you can put your hand up here, and yes, we should have a committee to look, and we can improve the design of this thing. It hands it back over to you and starts walking over to the next, and literally is just...
Yeah, she gets excused, and then...
just gone, and as that happens, you could hear one of the knights just start laughing as the other one's over the door. And you hear a called out from the knights. Just cut it off, it'll end quicker. As it's now over and looking at the violin on your back. Well, yes, you got strings on it. Yes, we have much better instruments. You should look at our instruments. We can make our instruments better. Yes?
My companion asked you a question.
Well, yes, of course, gnomes are always welcome to come home and be here. That's why the knights open the doors for you, and she can go right in and if you are traveling with her, you can go in as well. Just start going off and now it's walking over towards Furia. Oh, sure, we don't get helps here. What are you doing? And look at this. You have multiple swords. We have swords. We don't do much metal work. You can go towards better metal work. You can go see the swords in there.
We're just going to let Matthew keep going.
I hold up my finger.
Take a drink of water.
I got my magic rock. And I toss it, down the road. Not hard, just 10 feet or so. And then hold up my hand and then catch it again.
What's up for doing? And he takes from your hand and then he throws it. Waits, puts his hand up.
I catch it as it comes back to me.
As he does, just sort of gives a little roll on the ground, and at this point, one of the knight who had told you to come off comes over, puts his hand on his shoulder. Now, how many times have I told you when visitors come, you speak like us? Gives him 2 pats on the shoulder and then just walks away. You see the gnome sit, sort of raise himself a little bit. And you can tell very forcefully controlled. Yes, hello. Welcome to Mount Nevermind.
Thank
How can we
Thanks.
help? How can we help you?
I'm looking for family of mine. Gnomish, like me, has red hair. Her name is Lillian.
As you mention the red hair, you can see the eyes light up a little bit. Oh, yes, we do have someone who arrived recently. Up on level 19.
Level 18.
And come in. And at this point, as you have all noticed, the doors have been opened enough for people to enter. Gnome walks over, picks up the large book that they had been reading and starts walking you down this hallway. And as you
Take off my hood? Because they got pretty close to me and they didn't do anything.
Get
Go
the
ahead and make
papers ready.
Go ahead and make an insight check. Near you,
12.
sorry. Let's see how transparent they're being. Oh yeah, that's a 2. You get the impression that as they heard Artemis ask about going in, they really don't seem to care much what happens, because you're in there, you're not their problem.
I can work with that.
So as the group you start entering in, you walk into this large sort of entrance chamber. Looks to be about 40, 50 feet across. Then as you gets down in and it narrows eventually down, that gets to be this long sort of just about 20 foot by 20 foot hallway. And eventually you find yourself, well, it takes you a good probably like 25 minutes to a half an hour to walk this distance. It's a lengthy hall. But eventually you find yourself entering into this sort of large central opening within the mountain. And immediately as you all walk in, you can see just tiers of rings. On the outside, basically the central column is just hollow. And going up for a short way straight up, and then eventually flanging out just a little bit, and the opening widening up towards the top. And all surrounding these are just rings. And you can see there seem to be different levels. It looks like the floors are all basically on the outside against the edge of this mountain, and this massive column in the center is open. Then you see, and this individual's been walking in with you for a little while. It lets you know that the knights refer to him as Knob, as he is one. His family is the family, as he's telling you all this, that originally designed the doors on the outside. And the book that he was reading through is the book of his name.
Book of his name?
Yes, yes, this book is my first name. And as he holds it up to you, you can see it is a good couple of 100 pages.
Okay.
But the humans don't like to be that specific, so they shorten our names. Thus,
Wow.
the name of the mountain. Our home's name fills 14 books in the Great Library. And when we attempted to explain that to the knights, they replied with, "Never mind."
Oh. That whole book is your name.
Yes.
How long does it take you to say it?
When speaking normally, a short while. So that non-gnomes can follow and their brain can keep up. It would take a good deal longer. And they're continuing to lead you along, and as come into this main room, he sort of looks down and gestures at a chair to his right and says, "If one of you would please sit."
So, just anyone?
Yes.
Well, my legs
Do
are
it.
getting... Oh, nope, you
Or
go
if
for it,
you want-
Rose. No,
All right,
go for it.
I'll step up and take a seat.
Okay, as you sit down, you watch as he turns and screams off into the distance, 19! Immediately the chair swivels,
Oh boy.
a lever is pulled, and the group of you watch as
Really?
Rose gets launched through the
Oh,
air.
Like a big old
Oh.
spring.
It's me.
Literally, what's called
Booster seat. A jerk.
what's called a gnome flinger.
Ah!
And as
trebuchet.
Rose takes off flying, Nob turns over and looks at you. We replaced stairs. This is much more efficient.
Are you Are they
Rose.
going to land on something soft?
Rose, go ahead and make a dexterity saving throw for me.
Oh my god!
Okay.
I didn't roll.
Rose!
Oh no, it's a 4.
Oh, no.
As you watch, and you can see Rose sailing up, off in the distance you can see a group of individuals right out at the ledge up on what you're assuming is the 19th floor. As Rose is coming up, they get ready and they go to throw out a net. And as they toss it out, you watch as the arms go rigid, and it looks like it's meant to catch somebody who is coming back down. They're a little early, and Rose just plasters against the underside of it. And Rose actually falls down 3 floors, down to 16, before the net people manage to catch Rose.
Get him next time, champ.
Nob looks over at the group of you. Okay, who's next? Okay, Fury puts her hand.
I go on and sit in the chair. This would be a great experience for me trying to become a bird. And then
It
Okay, and-
sure will be.
They pull the lever and send you flying. Go ahead and make a dexterity save.
Did I take any damage?
Oh
from
no,
this?
no damage whatsoever.
Okay.
It's basically you hit the bottom of the net and it just sort of pushed you up. And if you had rolled high enough, you would have been able to sort of hang on to it because they just botched their roll too. But where you missed it, you managed to drop down a few floors.
I got an 18.
Oh, okay. As you go up and you watch as they wait a little bit longer, but the same thing happens. As you had seen it happen to Rozo, you're actually able to sort of grab on and hold on to the net. And they managed to pull you up, so you were up on the 19th floor at this point.
That was exhilarating. Go and stand back a little ways, wait for the others.
Oh, okay.
We'll wave at the others down below, like, it's all right, I made it.
I don't think it is.
Woohoo! I want to do that again.
I'm
Good.
going.
Exactly what it-
Okay.
Like,
I'm going to loosen up. Forward.
No,
And I
last time you said that. Oh gosh.
I sit down in the chair, I take off my glasses, I like put them on my shirt, and I'm like, Lord Bahamut, give me strength. Pull the lever!
Gives it a yank, and you are
Pull
on
the
your
lever!
way. And as you watch, as Murdoch is sailing through the air, what'd you roll, Murdoch?
I told you.
I think Ink's computer froze too.
Oh
my gosh.
You're right.
He is dead.
Okay, so
He really did die.
Okay.
I rolled a 4 on the die. Plus 4 is 8.
you froze for a second, so all we saw was you going,
Yeah.
For a few seconds, I thought you actually were just like, oh. no.
Yeah.
As you all watch, as you can see Murdoch sailing through the air, and immediately Murdoch is already trying to sort of like grasp at this net. The net never comes. As Murdoch sails up and then lands in the net as they manage to get it out under Murdoch properly.
I said, give me strength, not give me wings! Oh!
And then you're pulled in, they get you situated upright, and a couple of them are up there. They high five each other, and
I died, and that was honestly more pleasant.
Well, Artemis.
Glad I was on the down here and I didn't hear that. Anyways, yeah, okay, I suppose so.
Pat Murdoch. It's fine.
Not
okay.
good for an old woman's heart.
Neck.
Okay, as Artemis gets sent off in the distance, and actually the same as Murdoch. Sails nice, beautiful, clean arc, and you land right in the net as anticipated.
Okay.
I'm
Alright.
gonna hop on in, do a little.
Okay. And Nob looks over, gives you a little bit of a nod, and then has him pull the lever. Okay, and I need a dexterity saving throw from you, as unfortunately the net folks are a little
Uh, 15.
Okay, that is good enough. As you, again, very similar to Furia, they just go sailing up, and they've got the net out just a couple of moments too early, and you slam into the underside of it.
Oh.
Manage to sort of get your arm sort of hooked through the rope, and they help you get pulled in. And then we
Aha.
get Lydia on her way up. Actually, do me a favor. Let's see. Maddie, you missed already. Go ahead and roll a d20 for me.
Sure.
Let's see. If,
11.
Okay. So as Lydia comes sailing up through the sky and comes up and just slams into the bottom of that net and starts falling back down, the group of you watch as Lydia just plummets. She manages to get caught on the 9th floor. Sorry, 8th floor. But eventually they, from those upper floors, Rose, they bring you over. There are some stairs within the... As the people who caught you are advising you, there are stairs so you don't have to jump back down to the bottom floor to have them resend you up.
Okay.
So it
They
takes
show you the stairs
about,
after.
of course.
Yeah.
And as they sort of send you up, and as you're heading up, a few minutes later, Lydia ends up catching up with the group of you. And
Wheezing.
little out of breath, little empty, but eventually the group of you are reunited on the 19th floor, which is the where the stairs they sort of led you over to for Rose and Lydia, where she's not here. This stairwell actually stops at the 20th level and leads straight down from where you guys are all the way down to the lower city, where the gnomes advise you that there is a small clan of gully dwarves that reside there that handle dealing with the trash. But eventually the group of you find yourself on the 19th level. And as you're starting to look around, all gathered just from within this this sort of netted, the reception area, we'll call it, you can see that there is just this sort of massive wedge of a city. Those who have played Final Fantasy VII, think sort of like Midgard, where it's just layers of portions of a city. in this area, as you're talking with these couple of gnomes, they advise you that this is where a lot of the, we'll call it like clerical services. They they have mostly like natural healers and things of that nature. There's not a lot. There's not any affiliated temples on this level, but as you're being advised, there's not a whole. These gnomes don't seem to be a very like religion-oriented group. So they sort of point you in a couple of areas for shelters and other places that will aid people who are ill or lost or addled in the mind. Whereas you were advised by Knob on your way up here that the strange gnome with the red hair that was dropped here that didn't seem to really know anybody was brought to.
Okay. I suppose we should perhaps. I don't know. Pick a building and check it out and look around. I mean, at least we're in the right mountain.
Yeah, I guess. And do we see like people out and about around us at all, or?
Yeah. So as you're starting to look around, and as you're moving away from the sort of like reception catching area, you are starting to see that there are a very substantial number of gnomes wandering around in here, and they seem to be going about their daily business. You see there are some that are seem to be dressed a little nicer than others. Seems like it's just they're going about their business. You also notice as you're wandering further away from that sort of central sort of opening column in the middle, as you get near sort of the deeper portions of this area, or more towards the like outside of the mountain, you can see there are points up on higher up on the walls of this level where there are small openings where you can see light coming through. So there are windows at various points throughout this these levels, and they seem to be providing at least some light, but it is still a little dark in here. They do have their own arcane lights glowing.
Do you want to see if maybe we can try to locate or contact him magically? It seems like maybe it's a little bit more accepted here rather than in other parts of this world. Or we could just...
Well, we could risk asking somebody. I mean, the person at the door knew she was here.
Yeah, there are a lot of folks around here, but maybe somebody might have a clue.
We could do a quick fan out and speak with some people and then reconvene.
I mean, sure. Don't take long, though. I don't want to get split up here. It's big enough as it is.
Right.
Well, I guess everybody pick a gnome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll head this way, and I'll just pick a direction.
Try and get some info on a rumor mill.
There's no you are here.
Yeah, I look at the look in a direction, and I pick the closest gnome that I can find, and I go up to them and, excuse me, I'm looking for a red-headed gnome on this floor.
Okay, so as the group of you sort of fan out, Lydia says she will stay literally right where you guys are all having this conversation, as she now becomes a massive beacon to be like, oh, look, I can see Lydia's head. Let's all just go closer there.
Very
Very.
smart.
So, go ahead and the other 5 of you, go ahead and roll a straight D20 for me.
And
12.
Ew.
13.
Oh, cool.
Okay. So, Furia and Art, you both get told the same thing, that there is we'll call it a wellness building that's more towards the northern section of this plate. Whereas the last place that the two people you spoke with had heard of this person being. Murdoch, you get told she's actually 4 floors down on the 15th level, not the 19th, from your person. Sarah, you were told that they know they're on the plate as they've seen them walking around, but they really don't know where. And Rose, you were told that they saw them somewhere on the northern side, but that's the best they had.
Reconvene at the Furbolg.
Yeah.
I was told that we might actually have the wrong floor. I think I was told 15.
Oh, really?
My person said there's supposed to be a wellness sort of building on this floor, but to the north.
Oh, I heard somewhere in the north. I didn't get a building specifically, but
Yeah, I got that wellness place as well. Nice.
If she's not there, then we could work our way down.
I look
mean,
back
we're
at the one
already-
that told me 5 floors below.
I mean, and we're already on this floor
Maybe
anyway,
she
so
was there at one point, and
If she's not at this wellness building, I would say we check 15 next. How many floors are in this place?
So Nob
at
would have
least
told you
19.
that. Nob would have told you that. There are actually 35.
That's a lot of city. Such a big space for so many tiny people.
Lots of us.
Yeah, but you also
To
got to
be
remember that each one of these
very
plates is getting
busy.
progressively smaller as it goes up.
True.
Well, then I guess let's head north to this wellness place.
yeah, that seems like our best lead.
Maybe this will actually be less of a rescue and just more of a pickup.
That would be nice.
let's hope so.
They've
Okay,
all
so
been
who's
very
taking point heading there?
Probably me.
Okay, go ahead and make a survival check for me. See whether or not you can find north.
Looking on
You
the
are
ground for
currently
tracks.
inside.
Can I attempt
Can
to
I-
inspire you?
Can I attempt to assist in any way since I'm used to being inside of a mountain?
Sure.
You're
That's
from
it.
the
I'll
rocks.
say with Rose's help, you can have advantage on your roll.
And I'll say,
Thank
don't
you.
worry, Optimus. You are so close. I have a good feeling about this, and you should too. And I'll also give you bardic inspiration.
So that's a D8
I'm
on
gonna
top
use
of it if you
that.
want to use it.
Absolutely, because my first roll was a 2.
What was your second roll?
You have the advantage with
Yeah.
Rose.
I got 11, and I
Okay.
got 2 on the
Two.
D8, so we got 13. And survival, probably nothing.
Your wisdom.
Oh, never mind. Wisdom, yes, +5.
Yay!
So
Okay,
18.
yeah. So between Rose sort of giving you a couple of pointers and Murdoch's words, just helping you, give you that momentary calm, just like, okay, we're almost there, almost there. Just taking a couple of deep breaths, you actually manage to start heading in. You're confident you're heading in the proper direction.
Oh
Takes you.
boy.
You've got probably about a half an hour, give or take, given the size of the plate that you're on,
Wow.
to get over to that neck of the woods. Because again, you can't just cut through the middle. You've got to circle around the opening. So as you're heading over there, is there anything anyone would be doing, or?
Giving Artemis some granny pep talk, like you're doing great, Artemis. I don't give any bardic inspiration. Sarah's just very happy for art.
I'm taking in the architecture and how this, like, whoa, I'm in this place. Like, what's going on around me that just sort of, like, taking in the
trees.
moment. I'm
Yeah,
inside a mountain on the 19th floor, and there's a hole in the middle, and people are living here, and
You were
whoa,
launched by a trebuchet to get up.
I just flew, like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like taking some notes about just how interesting this place is. Not really much of a sketch artist, but just sort of trying to describe what I'm seeing as best as I can.
And I'm kind of like quiet, just like kind of sensing like how serious like what we're headed towards is. So
Oh, okay. Well, eventually, you guys find yourself standing in front of a. Again, it looks to be the best thing I can describe it as is think of sort of like a rundown street clinic.
Oh,
No,
boy.
it's got that sort of look to the outside that this is where you don't have the money to go to the emergency room, so you're heading to the I don't want to call it urgent care because we actually have those down here, and I don't want to knock them. 'Cause they're
Walk-in
great,
clinic.
like a walk-in clinic, but it's like
Yeah.
a step down from a walk-in clinic. It's like this is where the doctors go that are on the verge of retirement, or just somebody who's trained but never took those final couple of steps, or they're still doing their best to help people, but it's not quite as reputable. And you are standing outside.
Well, Artemis.
I don't like the look of this, but it's better than what I thought I was walking into so far.
Well, if your mother is magic, maybe she is able to do the things that Lydia does.
If she's not, if she needs some help, we have people who can help.
That's true. I'm gonna open the door. I'm gonna go on in.
Okay. So, as you open the door, again, it has that same sort of feel. There's a couple of small benches as you first walk into the room. There's a desk behind it. There's a looks to be a fairly young gnome female sitting behind the desk. Hair tied in a long, like an extremely long ponytail coming off right like the back top of her head down and pulled up in front over her shoulders, and two little side pigtails. She's sitting there and it's just sort of, you can see her writing in a book, and looks over and in Gnomish. Good afternoon, how can we help you?
Boy. Hello, my name is Artemis, and I'm kind of looking for my mother. Her name is Lillian. Do you think that she's here? She has red hair.
She looks in back from then looks over at you and switches over to common. Oh, you're here for her. I assume this is easier for you. She doesn't speak like us.
What?
She speaks like the knights.
Oh. Yes, right. Can I see her? Is she okay?
Yes, just confused.
Okay.
And she sort of steps out from behind the desk and comes over, puts her arm around your shoulder a little bit. If you come with me, I'll take you to her.
Oh, okay. And Art just kind of like looks back to the group.
I immediately go over to Art and
We
No
wait
more
out
leaving
here?
you alone.
we'll come with you, Artemis.
Is that okay? I'm so sorry. It's
Yes. Yes.
She looks over
Okay.
at the group. Yes, but I will have to request they stay out of her room. But to the doorway of her room is fine.
As long as that door stays open.
Gives a little nod to the group of you and starts leading the group of you back, and then switches back over to Gnomish. And looking at you, Art, as you're heading down, say, we have her at the far end of the hallway. She is confused after being away for so long.
Confused?
And she looks like almost uncomfortably over at the group walking behind you. And then looks over at you again as she's escorting you down. Your mother was taken from here when she was young. Her family was rather distraught over this. We thought their name books in the library would be forever ended. But then she came back talking about husband and child. But she had been gone for so long that there is no record of any. She was younger than you when she was taken.
Do you know who? Or
No, we assumed she had passed. After 2 or 3 months of searching. At least that's what the books say.
okay. Well, all of my names make sense now. Okay, fair enough. Right. Well, I think we can sort this out.
She kept arguing about going home, but didn't know how to get there. We had to take away the few belongings she had, as apparently she is somewhat gifted with the arcane, and we don't want any difficulty with the conclave.
Right. Well, we're just here to talk to her and pick her up, so to speak. We can figure it out.
You can bring her home?
I think so.
Nogdar gives it, like, still has your arm and has been walking with you, pulls you a little closer and, like, gives you a little bit of a squeeze. That may break her from her stupor. She's been silent recently. Won't speak with anyone.
And she was just dropped here, or
She was, from what I was told when she was brought here, she was found wandering up on the 27th level.
wow.
When questioned on who she was or what she was doing, as they didn't recognize her up there, and there was a small fight. She apparently had used some of her arcane ability, fled from there, and fell down the central column. Luckily, the alarms went off early enough so that the safety measure on the first floor did enable in time.
Okay. Gives me a couple questions, I guess, to ask people. Can I see her?
Yes, and as you've been walking this entire time. As you're getting down, there's a door, and right at the, probably about 15, 20 feet in front of you, to the right, and you can see that there is a little bit of a more built gnomish individual sitting outside of it. Same sort of uniform on, but sitting there just, flipping through a book. As he sees a group of you walking down. Huh. No change, Mom. Just sitting in there, silent, just staring at the wall. She gives a little nod, and he gets up and turns, and see he actually lifts a small wooden beam that looks like it was holding the door shut. Takes the beam off. Just it looks over more directly at you, Arto. Just be careful if you're going in there. Not sure if she told you or not, but this one can be a little bit of a firecracker occasionally.
Yeah, I know that.
Then sets the bar down to the side and pulls the door open. Steps to the side.
Okay, guess I'll peek my head in and then go in.
Okay, as you peek your head in, you can see what is very obviously a gnomish woman. That shock of red hair, as you were expecting to see, currently has their back to you, just sitting very motionless, head slightly cocked to the side. And so just even as you're looking in there for that first, 15 or 30 seconds, you can see the shoulders and the back moving with that very sort of slow, rhythmic breathing. Someone who's just like meditating, zoned out, just that calm, bordering on almost asleep, just that real slow, easy breathing. It's just sitting in a chair facing that back wall.
I'll get like a couple steps closer. Mom? Mom, is that you?
As you start to say that, you watch as the head immediately just... You could see it sort of pick up and turns, and as you stop, just shakes its head from it, almost like she's hearing things.
It's me, Artemis. They told me that, that you came here and trying to get back home.
As you said, you can see is that she very slowly starts to turn. And saying this, you can see her body is starting to shake a little bit. And as she turns and sees you standing there, immediately begins sobbing. And then stands and basically almost tackles you. Just sort of jumping up and grabbing her arms around you. And just crushing you against her.
Hi, Mom.
Little broken, just trying to speak, but you can tell like her throat. It sounds like her throat is dry, like she's almost like she's just waking up almost. I'm just saying that. My dear, how is this even? How are you here?
It's a long story, but I guess we have time for that now. I missed you.
It reaches up and very gently sort of ruffles your hair a little bit. And I've missed you. It's been a long time. She sort of looks at it. When I woke and saw myself here, I realized I didn't have anything. I didn't have the things I needed to be able to cast my spells to come home. I was trapped here, and there's no one here who can create the item attuned to our home. If you didn't bring one with you, you may be stuck here with me. And she starts to cry a little bit more as she's sort of pulling you closer and against her. My dear Artemis, I didn't want you to be trapped here too.
I don't think we're going to be trapped here. I have some friends who have their ways of of moving between a bunch of different places. So I think we'll be okay.
You see as a little bit of a grin comes across her face. My little Artemis has friends now. And what of your father?
He's as stubborn as ever. He was excited and happy to know that I was trying to figure out where you were, and still really hates Grandma and Grandpa, and I do too, honestly.
We should probably have a talk about that.
I kind of found out the hard way. There's some things at least.
She looks down and sort of detaches from you a little bit and lifts your chin to look towards her a little bit. Is she not a whole lot taller than you, but look in your eyes. How long has it been for you? I can tell you're older.
It's been quite a few years. I thought you were dead.
It seems time has a strange effect traveling through here.
Yeah.
But we can discuss it. You said you want to go home. It sounds like you may have already found out you were of two homes.
Yeah. That's a little bit of a shock. All of my names make a lot more sense.
Depending on how soon you want to leave, perhaps we'll stop by the library and I can show you ours.
Yeah.
Mine. But I do miss my husband.
He misses you too. We missed you a lot. But I found you and you're okay. And I'm just happy that you're okay.
It's sort of, again, is more just holding you close, and you can hear her difficulty in catching her breath. She's still sort of holding on to you.
But they said that they took some of your things and we can get those back now.
That's not important. It was spell components.
Oh.
I was not happy when they told me I couldn't leave. I may have hurt a few people mildly. It's understandable why they would take them away. And in time I came to understand that it was... Well, I came to accept that, and they came to accept that, even though there was no record of it, that they believed that I had family somewhere, fighting as I was to return to them. But without that fork, I had no way to return to our plane.
Fork?
Oh, that... you're probably not there yet in your studies, assuming you're still continuing with the magics.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
To move between two different locations or different levels of existence, you need an item called a tuning fork. It's something attuned to that plane of existence. Some mages will carry them attuned to the different elemental planes, like the plane of fire, earth. But if you're leaving your own area, one would need one attuned to your own place to return.
I see.
Or there is always banishing oneself But that returns you to your plane of origin, which unfortunately does not aid me,
Oh.
as I was born here. This is not my home, but this is where I am from.
Well, we have a lot of leads to get us back to where we need to be. I have I have a lawyer and friend lawyer. They're very nice.
As you say that, you watch as, and again, she's been smiling and crying, just as an emotional wreck this whole time. The minute the word lawyer comes out, you feel the body tense up a little bit. Artemis, what did you do that you have a lawyer?
It's a long story. It wasn't exactly my fault, but it was more of a... I became a pirate for a while, you know. Dad always wants me to go on ships. And
Just
so I
let it
decided
out.
that it was a decision, and it was because I wanted to find you. I'm not saying it's your fault that I have a lawyer. What? I... she's here to help. I'm okay. We're okay. You're okay.
Pulls you a little closer, and again, just seems to be almost afraid to let you go. As the rest of you who are sort of clustered outside the room are listening to all this happening, what would the rest of you be doing? Anything?
And just letting them have their moment.
Depending on what language they're speaking, I would be doing my best to listen in just in case something goes wrong and I need to
Yeah.
jump into action, because leaving our wizard alone with strange
It's
people has been a
always-
thing recently.
Yeah, the lean against the lean against the wall, but like tilting your head towards the door. I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know if it's in common and how quietly they've been speaking to each other, but
After the first
I'm
couple of
listening for
moments,
like
Yeah,
the help me and yeah.
yeah, it's
I'd just be giving them their moment.
yeah. Art's mother has been speaking in common. Basically, once Art said that they had friends, that everything since then has been in common. So you're hearing a little bit a little bit more. And again, Murdoch, you would have heard the concern about the lawyer as well.
yeah. I mean, from the mom part, I mean, there was like some little tearage going on. She probably took off her glasses and took her little handkerchief, kind of
Arby's
dabbed that a little
napkin.
bit. She took her Five Guys napkin.
Still
Yeah.
greasy from the bag.
Shook
But,
the peanut shells off of it.
But yeah, I mean, you know, she's got kind of a personal connect, you know. I too am looking for a mom, so hearing that we got one back is
We got one!
We got,
got
mom!
we got a mom, guys.
We're gonna collect them all.
One down,
Two
two to
more.
go.
After a few moments, and your mother sort of gets up and tries to, and as you can see, she's in what is very obviously like hand-me-down clothing at this point. It looks like something lost and found, donated. It's like she looks down. I don't suppose we can stop and perhaps get a change of clothes before going home.
Oh, of course. I have
nothing else.
lots of money.
You said you have friends. Perhaps we can start there, and once we're out of this room, you
Yeah,
can tell me
sorry.
about your life.
Uh-huh. They'll kind of step out.
As you go to step out, she's still not really letting go. But as you go to step back, she sort of takes one of your arms and hooks her arm through it. And again, just passive insight, you can tell she doesn't want to let go. She's still not 100% convinced whether she's dreaming, or she seems to be nervous if she lets you go, you're just going to sort of evaporate into smoke. And she'll still be sitting there.
I'm not gonna go anywhere, Mom. We're taking you along with us. You can be a pirate for a little bit.
Perhaps not, but... And as the two of you start to walk out into the hall, you can see the a three ponytail one is looking at it, and she's sort of wiping her eyes a little bit as she heard the entire thing, even the parts that were in Gnomish. And the gruff looking individual is just sitting there not really looking at anybody, just sort of has his back towards everyone. Art, you, your mother, and the nurse, I don't think anyone else speaks Gnomish. All can hear muttering about not feeling well today. And a couple of sniffles.
Aww.
As the two of you walk out, then that same girl reaches over and sort of gives your shoulder a squeeze, and then taps your mother's shoulder a couple of times. Well, it's nice to see you up and about again, and you're lucky to have this one. Your mother gives a little bit of a nod as the two of them start to escort you, go to start to escort you, then your mother sort of stops and looks over at the rest of the sort of strange motley crew in the hallway.
Mom, these are all of my friends, compatriots, comrades. Friends, this is Lillian, my mother.
Gives a little bit of a head bow to the group you're in.
It's good to finally meet you. We've come a long way.
You helped my Artemis get here. They said you could help get us home.
That is in the works. It's a pleasure to meet you, ma'am. My name is Murdoch. I represent an agency called Oxenfree, and we're working on getting you home.
You watch as a very slight smirk appears and leans over towards you a little bit, Artemis. Agency, so that's the lawyer, I take it?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a side eye to Murdoch.
All good things.
And nudge Murdoch. Loosen up. Come on, man.
Hello, my name is Roswin, or you can call me Rose. I haven't known Art or the group for long just yet, but we're forming a new kinship together, so it's nice to meet you.
She gives a little nod and then looks down at Sarah.
I do the shake hand and then put other hand on top, kind of handshake. Sarah Laughter,
Spoke like laughter, said not as funny. Um, your Artemis is a very, very skilled wizard. They've they've helped us in making water, uh, defeating hobgoblins, uh, they love candles. Very, very good idea.
As you go to continue, Lydia comes up and sort of puts a hand on the top of your head a little bit and
Oh,
almost like
okay.
palms your head.
Goodbye.
And
It was nice speaking to you, Lillian.
and then introduces herself to Lillian.
You should be nothing but proud of your child. They are amazing.
And again, just gives that sort of half hug to Artemis again, pulling him a little closer. I look forward to getting to know. I've missed a lot. And as you sort of come out of the room, and the light in this hall is a little bit better, and you can see there's a bit more gray through the temples than you remember. It's you're getting the impression, looking at her, that she's been, to her, she's been gone longer than she's been gone to you. As again, it's not like she's gone white, but you can definitely see there's a very sort of pronounced streak of gray in the hair. It's a little more noticeable as you're coming out the light, and that initial sort of outburst of emotion is sort of calming a little bit. Eyes are a little clearer, not much.
Well, okay, clothes. We need to get, some proper clothes. Before we could go outside of the mountain, or, how are we supposed to get back? They just dropped us here on
First of all,
longboats.
They, for sure, probably will have their own clothes here for gnomes.
Yes.
And so as you start, and again, the group of you are still making your way down the hallway, heading back towards the entrance. And the nurse advised the group of you that there are most of the merchants for things like clothes and things of that nature are down on the 3rd and 4th level.
I'm waiting to hear back from my advisor. He's a wizard. And I kind of like give a nod at Art and their mom. He specializes in interplanar activity. I was able to get a sending spell to him. Told him where we are. I think that if we just hunker down and sit tight for a little bit until he can get back to me and I can give him some more specifics now that we're here, he should be able to come and organize a way for us to get home. He would have the I apologize, I did overhear a little bit, but he would have the tuning forks. It's a little bit of a specialty of ours.
But Arch, you also need to make a decision about whether you're going to take that test or not.
I was kind of hoping that we could dip before they come after me.
As you say that, you watch as Lillian's eyes go a little bit wide. Artemis, how do you and your friends know of the test?
Hand-delivered invitation.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You can see her face goes a little bit pale at that. How much do you know of it?
I know it's a test of whether I'm a red or a white or a black robe, and it's supposed to test me at a whole bunch of different levels, and honestly, it doesn't sound that great.
So mages who have passed the test, the Conclave gives access to their collection of spell books, which have immense power. Which means as you grow in power, you have access to potentially gain access to spells depending on who you're basically which group you fall within. But the test is not something to be treaded on lightly. If they have invited you, it means you have already surpassed what they consider, shall we call it, entry-level magics. In other words, you have too much power for someone who is not a member of the Conclave. Normally, they would not permit one to learn that strength of spell without being a member. Now, I don't want to pressure you one way or another. We can flee and go back home. But I do not know if that would be the end of it. As likewise, though, if you choose to take the test and fail, you will die.
That's what I was afraid of.
The tests are grueling from what I was told growing up. But they are manageable if you are true to yourself and true to the magic.
I don't know what that means.
Let's deal with the clothing and see what your... Was it Murdoch? What their friend says. So depending on how soon we hear back, it may force the choice. As the Conclave takes hunting renegades rather seriously.
I think we might be looking at maybe a week or so. I'm not sure about the time
And
dilation.
This might not be the last time we are here, as we have met other people from here that might need our help getting back and not being hunted. Just take your time and weigh the benefits, or not benefits.
I don't know what the benefits. I could die. I just got my mom back. I don't want to.
A week.
But if we need to
sounds-
come back, they might want you dead anyway.
And a week sounds like a long time if someone might be after us.
You don't have to decide this moment.
Oh,
You
no.
do have a
but
little bit of time.
Yeah, let's go get some
Hopefully-
clothes, and I'll think and stress out and freak out about it. And
You should.
think about it.
We are here. We have your mother, and it is a pleasure to meet you. You should spend some time with her, and let me worry about my advisor. He'll be in contact with me. We'll deal with whatever happens. We always do. We always have.
It's whichever way you decide is. Well, I have your back.
Okay.
Let's go shopping.
So if that is your, as you guys have now made this, you're back in that sort of central column area, and is Lillian is standing there again, arms still looped with art, sort of reaches out and again tussles your hair a little bit. Artemis, I need to ask you something. Do you trust me?
Of course.
Your mother yells out 4, and looped in your arm just drops off the side, pulling you with her.
Okay.
And as
Oh,
the,
I like this one.
as the two of you start to fall, you feel that net underneath you as you, and then land and are pulled into the 4th floor.
Oh my, I don't think I. No, my stomach doesn't do that usually. Ooh.
And your mother is standing up, and as you can hear the laughter in her voice a little bit. It's always exhilarating.
That's one word for it. Oh, okay, I can do that.
And you hear Lydia call out 4 as she jumps down.
Oh, we're
Yeah,
doing
I'd
this
be right
again.
I
behind.
was just gonna do that too.
Then right afterwards, Rose.
4.
And
Arms
maybe this one will
folded.
go after Murdoch. Make sure she goes.
I like cannonball after Murdoch.
So eventually, as you're all getting down there, as you start getting ready to into the storm, and Marcus, you land and you're going off, and you're sort of watching is Sarah that's then brought in, and then Furia. And you can hear Art and Lillian have been talking with one of the people running the nets and getting some pointers on like where to go, what shops are going to be around, and where the best things are going to be. A hand reaches up and grabs your shoulder, sort of digs the fingers into your shoulder a little bit, Murdoch. And you hear, forcing me out of bed. You definitely owe me one.
Oh!
And that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
Ah, he's here.
Our savior! Our Uber!
Wait, I can finally put. Here you go, everybody.
I've never heard of an Uber jumper.
There he is.
And we got raided.
Yes.
Hello,
thank
Ray.
you. Hello.
Oh, hello,
I'm sorry
Ray.
you were here to see me cry.
We just
What?
saved a mom.
We
Hey,
did
turns
it,
out
guys!
we
We
saved a
got
mom
one!
who was trapped, and I'm specifically calling this out because I know who y'all are. We found a mother in Mount Nevermind. So.
We saved a mom in Mount Nevermind.
Boy.
So
One mom
is-
down. Yeah.
One mom down, 2 or 3 more to go.
I haven't really asked Rose what if they're missing parents.
Oh.
So,
Wow.
yeah, you have a strange individual who's just grabbed your shoulder.
That jerk literally teleported directly into their mountain. He does not care about the conclave at all.
So, the best way for this individual to get there was to focus on you, as you're the one they know best and would be able to teleport to easiest.
Yeah.
So,
We can
yeah,
go.
we'll
home.
have to see what happens next time. Is this individual has just appeared within Mount Nevermind. Artemis has found their mother, and we are currently in the process of getting her some more presentable clothes before. Oh, are we heading home? Are we heading to a tower? No. They have decisions and thoughts to make, as Artemis has been invited to take the test at the Tower of High Sorcery. But now, as they said, their Uber has arrived. They could choose to run back home if they want to. So,
Taxi's here.
Don't say it like that.
you may think you're running, you're just scampering.
It's a tactical retreat.
But we will be back next week. Don't forget, folks, I forgot to mention this at the beginning. Probo's birthday week is coming up in 2 weeks. So it is running from the 18th through the 24th. We have streams going every day. There are going to be giveaways for each stream, ending with a special one-shot that is going to have some surprise people involved with it. With a special, it is the Alien RPG that my buddy Michael is running. So definitely check that out. But there'll be giveaways during every stream that week. So make sure you tune in. And don't forget, folks, when traveling into some strange world to hunt down somebody's mother, if you planned the trip, don't forget your tuning fork. If you didn't plan it and just sort of ended up there, make sure you've got your sending stones. You can call yourself an Uber to get home. I'll see you next time, folks, and don't forget to add your proficiency bonus.
Thank you for the raid.
Thank you.
Thank you, 20 Sides. We love you.
Thank you.